Hi, Ozzy. It's Alan McDowell here, and I'll be hiking from 57th and Palouse to Hangman Hills today. And I just want to make sure that you know that I have all my supplies, and it would be unlawful or unconstitutional to take any of my supplies and give them to any family members that are having problems with me right now. And or may have a pharmaceutical drug addiction. So I have my supplies, and if your boys decide to detain me unlawfully and unconstitutionally, I would like all my supplies to go to the hospital this time, so we can do an inventory. Now, if anybody calls in, let them know that I completely understand the slander law and RCW 9.58.010, and it'll be hanging on the back. So if anyone wants to unconstitutionally create problems and take away my rights on false information, I'm fully willing to go to court this time, and especially if someone wants to say I'm in one spot for 4 hours, which wasn't the case last time I hiked that area. I have food, and plenty of food, 3/4 gallon of water in my camel pack, good shoes, and good clothing. And I'll be walking on the proper side of the street against the traffic. And even when there's guardrails, I'm always on the outside to be safe, not on the sidewalk. So, and I'll also be carrying my my Constitution cover and Constitution with Rand Paul's signature on it and Kathy McMorris's. And I'll explain what I'm going to do today. Now I'll go up to only properties in Hangman Hills that have don't have any signs for not soliciting, but and that's why I'm explaining to your police department or your sheriff's department that I do understand the trespassing law, so I put it on the back of my clipboard. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to say when I walk up is, "Hi, do you have a second? My name's Alan McDowell. Um, I was a former student at Freeman High School, and some of my records were purged, including squat, deadlift, leg press, power clean, um, and and that's about it. Uh, I've been to a lot of GNCs lately, and they state that my records may have been the highest records in the country, but they were marked as delusional by the current mental health medical system, and so it's important that I get this figured out and find former basketball pictures from Freeman High School from 2003 through 2007, the male and female pictures of shots where the weightlifting records were in the background. So then I will be explaining. I have a little diagram here to explain where the records stood, so that any parents that's still living in the Hangman Hills area know exactly what to look for and what spot in the gym it was. And then I also have my records, that they're obviously not national weightlifting records, but to explain that I'm not completely crazy. And I'll explain, even though I have no records right now for my political action committee work when I was taken down, I do have this, which doesn't have my name on it, but it's my work with the presidential campaign back in 2004, which is also marked as a delusion in mental health medical paperwork. And I'll be handing out my cards next. So if they find anything in the attic or anything, any pictures, then they can get back to me. And then I'll be explaining my new petition, and I'll read it to you. The petition for all former presidents, the current president of the United States, and 12 future presidents to sign 17 constitutions to be traded between Freeman and Medical Lake each year in football, basketball, and baseball. The winner will hold the constitution until it's transferred to the winner of the next seasonal sport. All constitutions will be graded like baseball cards and retired after each new president goes into office and signs. The final 17th president will be the only president to sign all 17. The cause supports constitutional rights for citizens unconstitutionally detained and tortured by our current mental health system due to family, political, religious, environmental conflicts, and PTSD from past experiences and war. And then I have my petition for the school district, all the parents and kids and anybody who wants to sign in order to make that happen. I'll also explain the conflict of interest I had with your medical director, since you are on the board of Frontier Behavioral Health, and him signing off on my paperwork. I'll also explain the first time he detained me. I stated that I had a political action committee meeting to be to that day, and that I was going to put in my spot for president of that political action committee. And he started talking in very confusing dialect, most likely Vietnamese, because that name is Vietnamese. And he stated that I thought I was president of the United States, which I never stated. I stated I wanted my constitutional rights, and I was illegally detained, and there was political conflicts with the police officer that had taken me in. And he states, "You think you're president of the United States," and making up all kinds of delusional information. And the first time, back in 2006, and he's the angrier I get when he makes statements that I'm not stating. And I never crossed the room to actually threaten him, and all I stated was I wanted my constitutional rights. He continued to state that I thought I was president of the United States. And later on, years later, I see that he pulls tricks on people. For example, at the Carlisle, someone who'd never stated anything about the CIA, Dr. Tran, stated out loud, screaming, "This man thinks he's bureau chief of the CIA." And so inducing false information or writing information that's false and maliciously false on reports. This guy worked his way up to medical director doing things like that, and I think it's wrong. And I came back with a different name only because of credit reporting problems with my previous name, Alan Johnson. And I don't believe he knew who I was when I came back and I built this company, Memory Programs, and he was signed into that. And I said afterwards that it would be a business conflict of interest for this individual, Dr. Tran, the medical director, to ever sign off on my paperwork because we were written together in Health Northwest magazine. It was obvious we had differences in the industry, therapy products versus pharmaceutical products for Alzheimer's, dementia, and schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or co-occurring diseases that come with Alzheimer's and dementia, other forms of dementia. And so that's that. And then I have a few other magazine articles that all written as delusions in my next takedown around 2012. Not Eastern, not Deaconess, and not Sacred Heart refused to verify any proper information. Now, I don't have the information of where I lived with my girlfriend, who was from the former Soviet Union, and her family, but that was all written up as delusions too. And with your officer, I think another former roommate who is Chinese, who was he's a contractor with Avista Utilities. That guy's written up as delusions too, which I'll get into later. down the road. But I have that, and if I don't make it, I have all the taxi cab lists, and I can easily get a taxi. I have the money. Now, if your cops steal the money and say I don't have anything and I can't make it back, well, I have a backup plan. I'm taking all the commissioners, Shelley O'Quinn's number and Karen Stratton's number and Mike Fagan's number. And I also have Mike Fagan and Karen Stratton written into my medical directed paperwork that I am turning in right now. You see, I'm signing it to Tisha Robbins at Spokane County Ombuds, 312 West 8th Avenue, Spokane, Washington, 99204. So it has all the numbers for the police ombudsman to the county, because I understand that I'm leaving the county. I'm leaving my 3rd district too, and so we shouldn't have any problems this time. And I'd just like to say that most of the information in the police report, the last time I was taken down out there near Hangman Hills, was attempting to. I was going to Freeman actually, and the next day I was going to camp out that night and come in and find why all the emails were so confusing and telling different stories about what happened to my weightlifting records, which need to be verified to medical files. And so when I got in the car, he talked more about the CIA than I did. I cracked a joke about the CIA eating too many donuts when people like my former roommate at 3003 South Perry, the contractor, all the statements he made about this country and the firing squad quotes and everything else, I made a crack that the CIA must be eating donuts while some of these foreigners who don't have citizenship are working on technology, are contractors in the technology industry. So I cracked a few jokes. I stated, I wanted to find out how long he'd been here, so I asked him about if he knew who Scott O'Grady was, and he made that into some kind of delusion in the paperwork, but he didn't know. The officer didn't, or the deputy did not know, or small town cop, sorry. Doesn't have anything to do with the sheriff's department, but he made up quite a few bits of information that were completely fabricated, and so anything referring to the government was only referred to as to Scott O'Grady, who was running for office at the time in Texas, and I stated that he had been he was in the Bosnian War, and he was running for office in Texas, and that was the only referral pretty much to the government. And everything else was on my products, Memory Programs LLC, and work with Eastern Washington University Speech and Hearing Science Department, and stuff like that, and what I did for a living. And I also stated that I was looking for my weightlifting records. Now, I did make a bluff. I stated that I was headed towards a certain family farm tenant, and that was not true. I was going to camp out at Freeman, and I was going to the next road, and I was almost there. I was about 200 yards from the next road where I would have turned right and taken the back way all the way to Freeman, which is much safer than walking on that highway. But I was never in one spot for 4 hours, and this right here, this RCW that was at today, if someone called me out for that on somebody's property for 4 hours, I would absolutely file file against him or her in court. And so I think I have everything prepared this time, and I understand how the system works from from false detainment by police departments to false write-ups, maliciously false and fabricated reports for financial gain in the medical industry. And I understand even the AMR reports refusing, if I say I have a conflict of interest with the Dr. John Tran and or anyone else in the industry, and I have a company, it shouldn't be written in as delusion. And I noted down at City Council one day that that I had a friend. I do have a friend that, and I won't give a name, but he has stated that he loves all the work that I do with memory programs and everything, but everything I've done in my life, it would all be written as delusion, and there would be no actual backup reporting of what I say or quote in the medical file. And he's a worker in a hospital. So even though he loves all the work that I do, if he doesn't know me, then everything gets written in as delusional. So you can see I have all my supplies, and so if you're planning on an incident report, you can write it out now, and then it'll make it easier after if you decide to take me in, that you know, and then it can be cross-referenced, because this is absolutely ridiculous that the police department takes people down and then drops them off into the mental health industry, where they're chemically induced into behaviors and severe short-term, long-term memory loss, and some of these pills I found that makes people laugh uncontrollably, and some make them schizophrenic and talk to walls, and they're it's some of it's like heroin, and it's very difficult to come off of. An individual gets chemical withdrawal, which is later diagnosed as a mental illness. Now, I will be continuing to go over reports, report after report, from AMR to the police department to the medical industry to the state, falsely putting information down in order for financial gain. So I just wanted to let you know that I have everything prepared, and I have a phone, and I'm willing to use any backup necessary or defense in order to get my plans accomplished of getting my company back working again, verifying medical paperwork, and possibly working on a presidential campaign again. I'll also be checking off if individuals are interested in Rand Paul, and if it's possible for myself to go to Cleveland on that Ron Paul ticket to gain a seat at the National Convention. Now, I'm just exploring the idea, and I'm not sure it's possible because he's a small candidate, and 15% is a lot, and if the people of Spokane would elect me to that seat in Cleveland for that national convention with his name on it. It sounds like an impossibility right now, but I've pulled off the impossible before when I was working on the left for Kucinich. But obviously, I found over the years that the social services industry is corrupt. It's costing this country trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, and taking away people's constitutional rights, including hiking 5 miles to Hangman Hills and 5 miles back. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get on the bus pretty quick, and I'll see you soon. Bye.